It went from thinking that there was going to be like a small pebble or a little rock falling, which is pretty common in rock climbing, to it sounded like the entire mountain was just falling down.
We responded from Station 7 to what ended up being a technical rope rescue call up the canyon to an area called Happy Hour Crag. It's a climbing area. This was January, so for us to end up in a technical environment on rope rescue in January was fairly unique.
My friend was top roping. We had just led the route prior to him, so actually 2 people had climbed the same route immediately before he did. He was standing on this piece of rock and it started to become loose. He yelled down to me that there was a rock that was falling, and then I think he realized how massive the piece of rock. It went from thinking that there was going to be like a small pebble or a little rock falling, which is pretty common in rock climbing, to it sounded like the entire mountain was just falling down. And as the rock was falling, it hit the wall on the way down and just exploded into a ton of pieces. You would just look up and the entire sky was full of these like huge rocks that were coming down. I didn't know where to go to get out of the way. I kind of dove to the side and the rock hit me on the outside of my leg here.
Yeah, when we arrived, the first thing that stood out to me was just the location. We were unfamiliar with the area. We had someone meet us in the canyon and they escorted us up to the best access to cross the river to get to the climbing area. And I looked at the young lady who had escorted us and I said, I'm gonna need you to go back up there with us. We didn't know how to get up there from where we were. And I know that if we know where we're going, we can make decent time, but we're carrying a lot of gear.
I remember the first person who got up there was Ryan. He came around the corner and I was like, thank gosh. And I was like, that guy looks trustworthy. They just got down, started talking to me, talking me through exactly what was gonna happen, and making sure that I was okay.
Rounded the corner and saw Maggie laying on the ground. She was alert, she was talking. Yeah, initially I was just struck by how calm Maggie was. And I thought, like, she's gotta be hurt worse than she's saying she is. She's telling me her leg hurts, her hips hurt, you know, but her blood pressure, pulse, everything just seemed like really, really even. We knew that it would be just a physically demanding, mentally demanding, technically demanding rope rescue event. And it did. It took a lot of our skills and a lot of our energy and a lot of teamwork.
You know, I felt pretty secure the entire time coming down. I knew that we were at least on our way to the hospital where I can finally get better. But it was a lot of, you know, picking up, moving, and then setting down. And the entire time I was just, you know, trying to pay attention to what's happening, stay conscious.
Maggie was so easy to talk to because she was laid back, you know, she was just stoic, and we kind of didn't understand how she could be so stoic, sitting in a basket, you know, with broken body parts, getting evacuated off a mountain, but she really, really did a great job of keeping herself calm. You know, we just talked about what we were going to be doing, what we were doing. Maggie, we're going to be moving you up over here. You're going to feel a little bit of shift. Maggie, these guys are going to give you some more medication. Maggie, just how are you doing? How are you feeling compared to 15 minutes ago? So once we got down, we worked with Larimer County SAR to move Maggie across the river. And then we had to go up about a 20-foot embankment. And then we took her to the air ambulance from there, where they transfused and transported.
I got to the hospital and they started doing CT scans and things like that. And one thing that they did was, because my leg was pushed up into my pelvis, they needed to pull it out. But all of my doctors were really, really good. Also made me feel very comfortable. My surgeon did a really good job. I got a ton of metal in there, and he did it all in one go, which I don't understand. It's like a puzzle that you don't, like, this should not be a puzzle. This is just shattered into a million pieces, but it certainly looks like a pelvis again.